The show is live here today on need to talk about as it relates to electricity in Liberia. Good morning, good morning, good morning to everyone out there. Um, Again, we're just talking about electricity today. I want for us to have our own mini summit today, discussion on electricity. I would really love for all of the electrical engineers out there, if you are listening, please join the show today and let's talk about electricity. Let's talk about energy as it relates to Liberia, national development, the role it plays in energizing our economy, building our economy, growing our economy, creating jobs, providing opportunities in all aspects of our country, our nation, so we can move forward and be a truly successful country, successful nation in all aspects of the word. Why is it that we can't get this energy issue right? Why is it that we cannot get this energy issue resolved? Why is it we cannot solve this energy thing? What is the problem? What are the issues? If you are an electrical engineer anywhere in the world and you're listening, please join the program today so we can have this discussion. I would really like for electrical engineers in the US, in Europe, in Canada, wherever you are, if you are an electrical engineer, please join the show today so we can truly have a deep discussion, a wide-ranging discussion. I'm going to turn off one of my streams here so we can have have this thing working right. I'm still new to this thing, so just bear with me here, and I will see which one I'm going to add and which one I'm going to take off. Okay. So I would really like for us to have a deep discussion today on electricity. I really do want all of the, I really want all of the electrical engineers out there, wherever you are, I really want you to participate in this conversation today. And let's have a deep discussion. Let's have a very deep discussion on electricity and what we need to do as a country, as a nation. I want to have a discussion today with professionals, those in the business sector, those who are in the energy sector, be it, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in the US. I really want to have a discussion with those people today. Those are the people I really want to participate in the show today to talk about all of this stuff in the background: electricity, energy. What is it with us in Liberia that we cannot get this right? What is the issue? What is the problem? Why can't we get energy right? Why is it such an issue? Why is this so complicated? Why is it that something so easy for the Guineans to address, something that the Ivorian, the Africa sub-region, these countries have addressed energy. They've addressed it in a very strategic way, short, medium, long-term policies, projects, strategies, plans, and they've moved their countries forward. They've built their economies, they're creating jobs, they're attracting foreign and direct diaspora investments. What is it with we in Liberia? We cannot get this right. Why is it so complicated for us? So I really want to have a discussion with those folks today who are professionals in the field. Please join the screen, the in-depth discussion on this matter, on this issue, the issue of electricity. Why is this so complicated for us? We've got Mount Coffee, we've got 2 thermal plants, we've got 3 cross-border grids, we've got the Transco CLSG originating in La Côte d'Ivoire, 5 substations in Liberia, connecting into Sierra Leone, connecting into Guinea. The cross-border grids have been there since the second term of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And the only success we claim on that cross-border grid is Nimba County. I mean, Nimba has been transformed. Jungle Power has done an outstanding job. But why is it that there aren't more jungle powers in Liberia? Let's get into this. Let's talk about this. Let's figure out why this thing is just not working for us in Liberia. What is the issue? What is the problem? Is it that we're just incompetent? Is it that we just don't know what to do? Is it that we just don't want this done? Is it that we Liberians just don't understand what to do? Is it that people are blocking, stopping, opposing, hindering, being treacherous in preventing electricity, energy from truly, being done right in Liberia so that the country can move forward? Transco CLSG had been in Liberia, going on 4 years. And we're not seeing the benefits of Transco CLSG. The Sierra Leoneans are transforming their economy. They're transforming their country. We cannot industrialize without electricity. So I really want electrical engineers in Liberia, Liberian electrical engineers in the US, in Canada, in the EU countries. Please join the show today. Please, let's have an in-depth, deep discussion on this today. I really, really want participation. Mr. Obadiah Saniga, good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining the show. Please share it on your Facebook page. If you have any friends who are electrical engineers, I really want to talk with electrical engineers today. I'm an electrical engineer myself. Let's have an in-depth discussion today. Let's talk about electricity, energy in Liberia. Why is it so complicated for us? Why is it so challenging? Why is it that this cannot be done? Why can't we get this right? What is the problem? What are the challenges? Is it people? Is it equipment? Is it personnel? Is it competence, incompetence? Is it the lack of a strategy, the lack of a plan? Is it a money issue? Let's open this thing up. Let's expand it. Let's go deeper into it because it's affecting the economy. It's affecting the lives of so many Liberians, young, both young and old. From Maryland County all the way to Lofa, energy is the issue. This is the number one thing that affects the lives of millions of Liberians all across the country. So let's have a deep discussion about it today. I'll give it a couple of minutes for more people to join the show, to come on live, and then we can start the discussion today. So please share the link, and I will step away for 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll be back. In the meantime, let's share the link and let more people come and join the show. Let's have an in-depth discussion today on electricity, energy, as it relates to Liberia, our economy. I know, we've had so many discussions about this. It seems like everybody's tired of it, and but it is what it is. It is what it is. This is the reality of our time. This is the reality of our time. Electricity is a problem. Electricity is an issue. Electricity is the lack of it The lack of it is truly affecting the growth, the development, the economic expansion, the industrialization of our country, of our nation, and is hindering us, is preventing us from truly becoming a great country, a great nation, and a great people. So let's have a discussion about it today, and let's see what we need to do. Let's see what we need to do so that we can truly be a great nation and a great people. So just give me a couple of minutes here. I'm going to put on some music here for us to listen to in the meantime. While so we'll kick off at exactly 8:30, and we can move into having a fruitful, in-depth discussion on electricity. Electricity, okay? Let's I'm going to put on some nice African jazz this morning, and then we'll listen to that by Brendan Ross. Facebook, I own no copyright to this music. I own no copyright to this music. Facebook, I own no copyright to this music. So I will be right back. Enjoy this for this time, and I'll be right back. Okay. I am back. I am back this morning. Good morning again, once again. This is Mr. Elkanah Al Phillips. I'm broadcasting live here, streaming on um, several different platforms today. We're talking about electricity as it relates to Liberia. Why is it that we as Liberians, why can't we get this right? What is the issue? What is the problem? What are the challenges that we're having? Why is it that we as a nation, why can't we get this electricity, this energy issue right? What are the, is it a personnel issue? Is it a personnel problem? Is it that we Liberians, we're not competent enough? We don't have a lot of electrical engineers? Is it that we don't have enough entrepreneurs to address this from the business perspective? I've always said for several years now that energy is a business. It is a business and it has to be addressed. It has to be looked at. It has to be approached. It has to be entered into as a business. And if you don't understand the business of energy, then indeed you're going to have a tremendous amount of problems. And the most simplest of things as it relates to energy would appear to be very, very complicated. And apparently this is where we as a people, we as a nation, this is where we're stuck. Apparently we're stuck in that gutter, if you want to put it that way, where we don't know what to do, and the arrogance and the challenge is that we have a degree of arrogance that prevents us from asking the questions. Please help us. And this is where we find ourselves today as a country, as a nation, 170 plus years, strong relationship, binding relationship with the United States of America, a country settled by free slaves and independence in 1847, and the next country that had independence 110 years after us is Ghana. So if you subtract 1957, if you say 1957 minus 1847, you'll get an answer of 110 years. So why is it that Ghana, 110 years younger than us, not older, but younger than us, have solved this energy issue? They've addressed it. They have a plan. They have a strategy. They continue to build on that plan. They've established a strong, deep, wide energy foundation for their country, for their economy. They're industrializing their economy at a very rapid rate. They're creating more jobs as a result of that strong, robust, clearly thought out energy policy or plan and strategy. Look what Ghana has become: a bright, a shining star in the ECOWAS region, attracting both their diaspora and direct foreign investment to their country, only because they got the energy issue right. Next door to us, La Côte d'Ivoire. Look at La Côte d'Ivoire, 24/7 electricity. They've been able to build a diverse mix of energy supplies. They've got oil and gas, they've got solar, they've got multiple hydro power stations across the country. They've been able to maximize all of their river, the water flowing or river assets, net resources across the country. They've been able to build multiple hydros, synchronize them, build a transmission and distribution grid, power up all of their cities and their towns. As a result, Côte d'Ivoire today is a robust economy, rapidly growing, massively industrializing. They've been able to industrialize the agriculture sector, and they've been able to expand their tax base, attract direct foreign investment and their diaspora. And again, energy is the foundation. So what is it with us next door? Why can't we get this right? What is the problem? What are the challenges? I don't want to be the only person talking about this today. I want other people to call in. I want us to have an open discussion about energy. Is it that we Liberians just don't want this? Is it that there are people who don't want electricity? Is it that we don't know how to do it? Is it that we're not competent enough to address this? I mean, we've got great natural resources. We've got multiple ports along our coast. We've got Transco CLSG that has 5 substations in the country originating from La Côte d'Ivoire. What is the problem? What is the issue? Why can't we get this right? Why can't Liberia get energy right? What is it? I mean, I really want people to chime in. I want people to contribute. I really want people to join in today and talk about this. What is it that we in Liberia cannot get this energy issue right? So I'm going to give you my phone number so you can call in and we can have an open discussion. Please put your comments on the Facebook page. We're on live on multiple platforms there. You can also just put your comment and I will take your comment from there and we can go deeper into that conversation and have an open conversation about energy. What is it that we can't, what is the problem? What is it with Liberia? Right now, as I speak, there is an energy summit or an energy getaway or an energy retreat that is going on, spearheaded by the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn. I believe it's on his farm, on his ranch up in Nimba County, where they brought the LEC management team, the LERC, the folks from the Liberia Renewable Energy Agency. They brought, I believe, the Ministry of Mines and Energy. They're all there thinking, talking, discussing this. But let's have our own discussion here. They're there, we're here. Let's have our discussion here because this is affecting all of us. So if you want to call in, you can call in directly on US telephone number 1-346-546-4589. If you call on that number, you can feel free to have a discussion with me. I'm going to put it up here on the Facebook page. That's 1-346-546-4589. So please call in to discuss electricity in Liberia on the show. Yeah, so feel free to call in. I'll take your calls and I'll put you on speaker on the show so we can have a live discussion this morning on this issue. So from my point of view, I'm saying here to everyone, we as a country, we as a nation, we have everything that we need. We have everything that we need to address this energy issue. We have everything. We could have a set of policies or projects that addresses a good energy mix for Liberia. Hydro on one side, CLSG on the other, and then solar. So the best ways to address the Liberia energy challenges that we have, I don't like to call it crisis, I think it's a challenge, is to have a good, what we call it, energy mix. Let's have an energy mix, because if you have a good energy mix, then you will be able to address all of the challenges that would come from be it from dry season or rainy season or any other time. You'll be able to address the energy challenges. So if you have an investment in solar energy with solar farms in 5 strategic areas. Why 5 strategic areas? Because that's where the Transco substations are. So if you have solar farms in Nimba County, if you have a solar farm in Botota, a solar farm in Buchanan, a solar farm in Monrovia close to Markov, if you have a solar farm in Cape Mount, then you can inject that power into the Transco the Transco grid, and move that energy along the Transco grid so that that power can be distributed into the various parts of Liberia through the transmission distribution grid that you establish, that you build. So this is where I think we need to solve this. We need to solve this with a good energy mix of solar, hydro, and Transco CLSG. Okay, so let's take them one at a time. Mark Davis, very good question. Why can't we do hydro, solar, and LNG? Okay, very good question, Mark. Thank you for joining the show. Please share the live, and let's get more people participating in it. So ask me the questions, and I'll answer the questions. So as the questions come on the platform, or you can feel free to call, I will answer the questions. Okay, so the challenge with LNG as a power generation source on the Liberia side, as it relates, it's called what? Transportation. How are you going to? There's a transportation cost in bringing LNG from outside and then bringing it to Liberia. So there's a transportation cost. So that means you have to purchase it. Okay, you have to purchase it. Don't forget, LNG is called liquefied natural gas. So why is it called liquefied? Because that means you're going to have to compress one, and then you're going to have to freeze the gas to liquefy it, and then when you get it to shore, you're going to have to heat it up to deliquify, to turn it back into gas, and then put it back into the pipeline, and then get it over to the natural gas turbines. So again, building that infrastructure to handle the liquefaction process, okay, which is heating up the liquid and to change state from liquid to gas, and then feeding the turbine. So on LNG, I will not agree with you on that. Hydro and solar, very good. And that's where we can also integrate Transco CLSG, because Transco CLSG is there. It's already there. Transco, let me explain on Transco. Transco CLSG is a transportation network. It is not a generating entity. Transco does not generate power in any way, shape, or form. They only transport the energy from its source, which is in La Côte d'Ivoire, who is the generating entity, okay? And they move it on the transmission line. We have 5 substations in the country, and then we tap off those 5 substations, and then the line continues into Sierra Leone, where they have also 5 substations. They tap off those substations and build their distribution grids. And then it ends in Guinea, that has 4 substations, and they tap off of it. So the best way to solve this, Mark, is to have a very, very good energy mix of hydro, of solar, and Transco CLSG as a transmission grid. But again, with Transco, they're transmitting. They're only bringing they're like Federal Express. So you buy your energy from CIE in La Côte d'Ivoire, but then you have to pay for the energy. You've got to pay your bills. And that's what got us in this mess in the first place in the Republic of Liberia. We did not pay the bill. We have an outstanding bill of $18 million over the past year. So we did not pay the bill, and we just basically got cut off. That's just the reality. That's just the truth. We got cut off. We got disconnected. We got unplugged from the power source. And as a result of that, the lights went off. The lights went off. So, key to your energy strategy besides your supply, you got to pay your bills. That's why I've always said that energy is a business. You can't take other people's products and just expect to walk out of the store. It's called shoplifting. In other places, it's called theft. Okay, so when you sign a power purchase agreement, if there's a commitment there that the power I'm taking, I'm going to pay for it, and then you build a business model that allows you to take the power, sell the power, collect the money, and continue paying your source, and then the difference, okay, what we call the delta between what you bought it for and what you're selling it for, that becomes your gross profit. And then you work on your efficiency on your distribution and your commercial side, and so that you can minimize your losses, thereby increasing your profitability. And that's what I've always said, that energy is a business. So what Liberia needs is a very, very good energy mix of solar, hydro, and Transco CLSG with buying power from CIE in La Cote d'Ivoire. But we've got to pay the bills. Now, let's talk about hydro for a second. We talked about hydro when I was on the show the last time, where we had a young gentleman who's a hydrologist, a young Liberian engineer, great guy, sharp person. I mean, he's a professor at the University of Liberia, got his degree in hydrology from the Kwame Nkrumah Institute of Technology in Ghana. Sharp gentleman. I mean, this guy is so sharp. I mean, this is a Liberian. He's living in Liberia. And I mean, I'm amazed as to why this guy is yet a deputy minister or an assistant minister for energy at the Liberia Ministry of Mines and Energy, because this young man is the kind of guy we need helping to formulate energy plans and energy policy as it relates to hydropower development in Liberia. But here it is, he's a professor, he's teaching, and his competence, his expertise, his know-how, his education is not being utilized. And then all of a sudden, somebody from a different country would pluck this guy out of Liberia, give him a visa, his family, and use his expertise in another country, whereby we would be at the loss. So let's talk about hydro. The challenge with hydro is that, one, it's seasonal. So when you build your hydropower plant, you must build a reservoir. Okay, and that is one of the challenges that we have in Liberia as it relates to the Mount Coffee power station. We do not have a reservoir. There is not a reservoir there to store the water so that we will be able to generate power even in the dry season, even if it's not at 100% capacity. But if you had a reservoir, you could probably generate at maybe 50% or 75% capacity, because again, hydropower systems, just like solar energy system, they're what we call stored energy. Okay, they're stored energy. We all know as engineers and who did physics, energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed. It can only be transformed from one stage or from one form to another. So in hydro, your energy is called what? Kinetic energy, and it's where? It resides in the water. That's why you need a reservoir to be your storage facility for your energy. And then it comes down what we call the penstock, or what the tubes, and they hit the mechanical turbine blades, and they rotate, and on that shaft, that's where the energy conversion takes place between the turbine blades, the shaft, and then at the top of the shaft, that's where you have the alternator, the generator that converts it from mechanical energy, from kinetic energy hitting the mechanical turbines. The turbines turn, energy is converted on the shaft, and then hits the alternator on the top. And then you have electricity, and it hits the transformer. Maybe you're generating at 12 kV or 12,000 volts, and then the transformer steps it up to maybe 35 kV or 69 kV or whatever it is, and you transmit it over a long distance, and then you distribute it across your cities, your towns, and then to your industries. And that's the challenge with Mount Coffee. We do not have a reservoir to store the water. And because hydro, again, like I said, very, very fundamental, it is a stored energy system, or energy system for power generation. So that's why, again, with hydro, it is a seasonal power generation system. That's why it must be part of an energy mix. It must be part of an energy mix. Okay, so that's why hydro is important. But at the same time, on the Liberia side, we only have one hydro, and that's Mount Coffee. We only have one hydro, and that hydropower plant doesn't have a reservoir. That means we have what we call a run of the river. Write it down. Run of a river hydro. And that run of a river hydro, because it doesn't have a reservoir, you only have what we call doors, okay? There are doors. There are doors that allow the water to move into each of the turbines. So the water is low. All you can do is, and my coffee has 4 turbines. So you can close one door, 2, door 3, and then you leave only door 4 open, and that can create some sort of a pseudo reservoir, and then all the water level will rise because you've created an artificial barrier, and then the water would then be able to run into turbine number 4. Okay, write this down. Mount Coffee only has 4 turbines, and each turbine is estimated at 20 megawatts. So we have 80 megawatts. So you can imagine when dry season comes and the water level goes low, we can only run on 1 turbine. We can only run on 1 turbine. And if we're running only on 1 turbine, and that 1 turbine is only 20 megawatts, you can imagine what the demand is, which is close to 100 megawatts. You got an 80 megawatt deficit. Yes, exactly, Mark. We have 4 turbines at Mount Coffee. Each turbine is 20 megawatts each. Last time I checked, that's 2, that's 4, that's 6, that's 8, that's 80 megawatts. So 80 megawatts, and there's no reservoir. So when the water level is low and you close 3 doors, right, to shut off 3 turbines, you only got running on 1 turbine, which is only 20 megawatts. And the load demand for Monrovia right now is what? Is about 100 megawatt plus. So that means you got a 60 megawatt, an 80 megawatt deficit. You have an 80 megawatt deficit. So that's why you have to go to load shedding, because you don't have enough power. Okay, you don't have enough power to keep them to feed the entire load capacity or load demand across the city. So that's why you have to go to power shedding, and that's why the energy mix of Transco CLSG supply from La Côte d'Ivoire, okay, plus your hydro and your solar will be able to compensate, okay, will be able to compensate for the seasonal decline in your hydro, okay. That's exactly right, Mark. So your point there, Mount Coffee currently is a run of the river or run of the energy generating. That's exactly right. So what I just said is a run of the river. There's no reservoir. So that's why every dry season we have this acute issue. And I said this over a year ago, that there had to be a dry season strategy for the LEC, for the Ministry of Lands, Mines and Energy, and for the leadership, the government, the president and the VP should have put into place a dry season strategy when they got inaugurated over a year ago, okay? So that when dry season comes this year, we should have had at least 100 megawatt solar farm in place, because solar, the big advantage of solar, let's go to that. Let's talk about solar. The big advantage for solar is what we call rapid deployment. You can deploy solar very rapidly. Okay, and that's why if they have started the strategy, a dry season strategy of 100 megawatt solar farm in 1, 2, or 3 places along the Transco grid, they would have been able to mitigate, to compensate for this decrease of this seasonal decay in energy that we all knew was coming in the dry season. We all knew this. So why are we surprised that the power is off? We all knew that we were not paying the bills back to La Côte d'Ivoire. Everybody knew about this. Why is everybody acting and behaving and pretending to be surprised? Everybody knew that the past leadership at the LEC was not paying the bill, and everybody knew that the bill was not paid, had not been paid, and nothing was done about it before the past leadership left their positions. The CIE folks, Côte d'Ivoire Electric, sent the bill, $18 million. Why? They sent the bill almost a year later after the meeting with the President Joseph Dima Bouaka and Alassane Ouattara. And the past leadership was also on that trip. We all knew, we all saw the pictures. So everybody knew that the bill was not paid. Everybody knew very well that the bill was not paid. Everybody knew about it. So it was inevitable that the guy you're getting the power from, you're not paying him his money. but you're selling the electricity. You're collecting the money. You're misusing the money. You're stashing the money away. You're packaging the money, and you're about to take the money out. So all of a sudden, the guy who's supplying the power gets sick and tired of being sick and tired of him not being paid. What does he do? He unplugs you. And that's how we as a country, as a nation, that's where we stand today. That's why, the letter came. They received the letter. I didn't receive the letter. The letter showed up from CIE that we're unplugging you. We're cutting you off. We're cutting you off. No begging, no pleading, no more negotiation. Aaron Talu said that my audio is bad. Can you hear me, Aaron? Am I that bad? Am I better now? Tell me if I'm better now. Just put a note up there. Okay. And so everybody knows that this money was not paid. This money had not been paid. And everybody knows very well that because the money was not paid, because everybody knew that the money was not paid. Give me 1 minute here, Aaron. Let me just cut this thing off. I think I know what the problem is. Just give me 1 minute here, guys. I think there's an echo here somewhere. Aaron said the audio is very, very bad. Just give me 1 minute, Aaron. I will find the right button here. Okay, I think my audio should be better now. Is it better now? Aaron, please let me know. Let me know if my audio is better. Please let me know if my audio is better. Okay, so everybody knew that the bills were not being paid. Everybody knew that La Côte d'Ivoire had not received their money, and that's the reason why. That's the reason why. That's the reason why we were cut off. That's the reason why we were cut off. That is the reason why we were cut off. Aaron, can you please confirm whether or not my audio is better now? I would really like for you to tell me if my audio is better now. Okay, Mark, let me know if my audio is better, please, since you're more engaged. So that's why we need to have this energy mix. So we all know on hydro is stored energy. So any hydropower plant we build, we have to what? We have to make sure we build it with the reservoir for stored energy, which is in the water. Now, the other challenge with hydro, before I move on to solar, is that hydroelectricity power generation, building hydropower plants don't take 1 year, they don't take 2 years, depending on the capacity. Okay, so if you're looking to build 100 megawatt, 250 megawatt, or 400 megawatt hydropower plant, okay, that means you're going to have to do what? Environmental studies. That's what we call a green field, meaning that you're going to go somewhere, and when you look out, everything there is green. That means it's a green field project. You're clearing green area to start a project from scratch. So hydropower plants or hydropower projects are greenfield projects. And moreover, there's a major environmental impact that comes along with building hydropower plants, meaning that you're going to displace people because you're going to have to create flooding. Okay, in order to build your reservoir, you're going to have to dig, you're going to have to depopulate the area because you're going to flood the area, which will ultimately result in a reservoir that turns into a lake. Okay, so that's environmental impact study. You're going to depopulate the area, the civil construction. Then I'm not even talking about the design. Okay, then the manufacturing of the turbines and all of the other parts that have to come. So you're looking at anywhere between 4, 5, or maybe 6 years, depending on the capacity, the size, the megawatt capacity of the hydro and its design. That's why hydro, when you put hydropower, when you're putting it making it part of your energy mix, they're not short term. They're not medium term. They're what we call long-term strategies and long-term projects that would produce results for you or benefits for you anywhere 4, 5, or 6 years down the line. Okay, so that's on hydro. So hydro are long-term strategies. They're long-term plans because they have environmental impact, and the delivery times on the design and the impact of the area, the supply of the equipment, they're long-term, they're long lead time items. So the benefits to the population, to the economy, to the people of the country are ways off. That's why that's why it requires proper planning. Now, let's move to solar. If you have any questions for me, please put them in the chat. I will engage you there, and I will pull up your questions, and we'll discuss them. Thank you for joining the show. Again, today we're talking about energy, electricity in Liberia. Why can't we get this right? What is it with energy that we can't solve? We can't address it. We can't get it right. It's affecting our national growth, our economic growth, our socio-economic transformation. Is affecting our politics. Is affecting investment in the country. Is affecting every aspect of Liberia. Why is it that we cannot get this right as Liberians? Okay, so let's talk about solar. Solar has to be, must be, it should be part of the energy mix solution for Liberia. And like I said, solar, the best plan, the best strategy is to build a solar farm in every political capital, a political subdivision of this country. There should be a solar farm, 2.5 or 5 megawatts in Hopper or in Maryland County. There should be a solar farm in River G. There should be a solar farm in Grand G, so forth and so on. Every capital, every political subdivision of this country should have, must have, okay, can have a solar farm. It's scalable, okay? Keyword here is scalable, meaning that you start off at maybe 1 megawatt and then you can scale it based on what? Based on demand. Okay, so that we can start building the local economy in that county and start the process of industrialization, and then we can plug more people, more businesses into that grid. Okay, I got a question here from Mark Davis. Why not at least 20 megawatts in each county? Very good, Mark. Very good question. Very good question. The reason why I'm saying we start off small and then we gradually, in a scalable way, we grow. The question to you is, okay, I agree on solar, we're on solar. The question to you, Mark, is do you honestly believe that that Maryland County has 20 megawatt demand? That's the question. Why put 20 megawatts there? Okay, invest millions into 20 megawatt solar farm in Maryland County when the demand is not there. So that's why I'm recommending, I'm suggesting, I'm advising, I'm counseling, okay, consulting on the fact that, look, we start in a scalable way. I agree, the companies are there. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to do the market analysis. I agree, do the market analysis, find out which companies are there. As far as I know, it's Kavala River, Maryland Oil Palm, the Technical University, a few other companies, but I think those are the three big ones. Those are the two big industrial companies there: Maryland Oil Palm and Kavala River. Those are the two. And if they're running their rubber processing or palm oil processing plant, they're not pulling maybe more than a megawatt. Okay, a megawatt. Sifka. Yeah, that's So what we do is we do the market analysis, and if they have processing, because don't forget, some of those companies are just pulling the raw material across the border to Ivory Coast, because San Pedro has the major agro processing plus the port facility on the Ivorian side. Okay, Vat Dixon, welcome to the show. Vat Dixon, you asked a question. Could this be viewed as a strategy by the former minister that might unintentionally hinder LEC's progress after his departure? It's crucial for the country's development to create a formidable environment for investments. I agree. And reliable electricity is a key component of that. There is no efficient leadership in the country. Educated and well-trained Liberians are resented by our leadership. Very good. So let's unpack everything that Vat Dixon put here today. Let's unpack it, right? So what I will do is let's take one sentence at a time so that we can kind of expand upon it, Okay, very good point. Very good set of points that Vat Dixon made. So the first question is, could this be viewed as a strategy by the former minister that might unintentionally hinder LEC's progress after his departure? Okay, so the person that left from are you talking about the former management team at the LEC? Because LEC is not a ministry, that's a public corporation. So you're talking about the I don't like to call names, but the past leadership team that was there, the CEO, the person who was acting in I think 3 or 4 different positions, CEO, chairman of the board, consulting to himself, and then also the head of the World Bank project there. So he and his deputy, who was the guy from Ghana, the Ghanaian guy, their contracts that they wrote for themselves did not get extended by President Boyka, so they were relieved of their duties. Now, the thing here is this, Pat. Energy, like I've always said, energy is a business. And the best way to run this business is to blend a public corporation and bring investments from what? From the private sector. Because free money that comes from aid agencies don't have to show profitability. If you are a businessman and you're putting your money into something, you will want to make sure that your money, that you get a return on your investment. Aid money does not have to show a return on investment. And there are no measures in place for it to show profitability. This is my challenge. This is the point. And that's why we find ourselves where we are. Because if we truly want efficiency and productivity, right, and return on investment for us citizens outside Liberia to truly see transformation economically and an environment for industrialization, the best place we can get that is from the private sector. When private money comes into Liberia in the energy sector, private money will put into place every aspect of management and control to prevent corruption, to prevent misuse and abuse, to make sure that they get a return on their investments. So that issue of corruption and misuse or power theft would no longer be LEC's problem. It would now be transferred to the private investor, who will make sure that he puts the right team and the right people in place to make sure that his money that he's investing, he will get a return on his investment. That's my point. Okay. Now let's move to the next part of Vast questions. It's crucial for the country's development to create a favorable environment for investments, and reliable electricity is a key component of that. Thank you, Vat. So this I have been saying on countless occasions. Okay, I'm happy that someone else way on the other side of the world is also seeing what I see. The question is, how is it that our leadership cannot and have not understood that this point that Mr. Vat Dixon or Reverend Vat Dixon is making here is crucial, that electricity, an energy policy that is fundamentally sound, that will produce results and transformation is what is crucial for this country. It's in its people. Development to create a favorable environment for investments, direct foreign investments, and the diaspora, okay? And reliable electricity is key, is a key component. So that's where we are, Vat. The question that we need to ask ourselves, what is it? Why is it that our leaders don't understand this? What is hindering them from understanding this? What is hindering them, stopping them, blocking them from getting this through their minds? And that's why, I myself, I'm perplexed. We've been saying this, speaking about this, echoing this, yelling, screaming at the top of our voice every weekend, shows from show to show, but nobody seems to understand this. The recent energy, the National Development Plan for the Arrest Agenda that came out, there were only 4 pages. 4 pages, Vat. 4 pages in a document that's 285 pages long. Only 4 pages in that document dedicated to electricity. So it confirms your point. I don't understand why nobody understands it at the leadership level. Let's go to the next point. There is no efficient leadership in the country, okay, on this issue. Where is the leadership, on this energy issue? We've been going at this back, every week, every month, every year,
okay, on this energy issue. They came into office and energy was the issue. The candidate I supported in the first round of the election, Robert Franz Morris, the agenda that we had, okay, was what? Let there be light. It was an energy agenda. We drove this energy point. This was our campaign agenda. Building a strong, robust, deep, wide, okay, energy foundation for this country so that every aspect of this government, every aspect of our economy, every aspect of life in this country will be plugged into that energy foundation, okay? That, the economy, national security, health, you name it, are pillars plugged into a firm, a strong, a robust, and a deep and a wide energy foundation. That was what Robert Franz Morris ran on. He ran as an independent. I was the energy policy advisor. So that's where we're challenged. In the second round, we supported President Boyka, and we were hoping. We drove the point that they will embrace the energy agenda. They will lead on the energy agenda. And here we find ourselves 1 year later without a strategy, without a plan, and the same problem: blackouts, power cuts, load shedding. 1 year later, we're at the same place. So there's been no progress on this issue. There's been no progress on this issue. There's been no expansion, no drive, no pushing on this issue. No solutions have come forth. Bills have not been paid. So finally, we've been unplugged. We've been unplugged because we didn't pay the bill. And the leadership and the management team, you talk about that, didn't pay the bill. Did not pay the bill and walked away scot-free, no responsibility, no obligation, no accountability. Walked away $18 million in the hole. And that's fact. That's not, rumor, innuendo in any way, shape, or form. But they didn't pay the bill. They did not pay the bill. And so that's why we find ourselves without power today in our nation, in our country. And business people are dying. Their businesses now, and the price of gasoline has gone up, which is the number one fuel, and diesel for generators, which is the secondary source of electricity. So this is where we find ourselves today. Now, the profitability of companies that were depending on whatever availability of electricity was there, now their profitability is going to go down. They're going to have to lay more people off because now they have to buy more fuel, and the price of fuel has gone up. So now it's just one of those things that, like you said, and the last part of your point here says, educated and well-trained Liberians are resented by our leadership. And I don't think the issue is resentment. I wouldn't use the word resented, in fact. I think the challenge of the present leadership and those who are there is that, when light comes into a room, if you've got roaches in your house, right, and you go in the kitchen and you turn on the light, what happens? The roaches don't stand and look at you. Everybody runs and flees, and everybody hides. So the issue here is when you bring knowledge, when you bring competence, when you bring enlightenment, when you bring expertise and experience into a conversation, those who have been leading the conversation, they feel very, very challenged because now what they've always presented as being very complicated, right? Okay, so they've always been leading on the issue, talking about the issue. They've been the subject matter experts, okay? All of a sudden, when competence and experience and expertise enters the room, now when the light comes on, they've got to figure out what to do to cut the light off because the light exposes their incompetence, their lack of expertise, their lack of knowledge. And that's where the conflict comes in. So when you bring in, and people don't understand that disagreements are the foundations of an agreement. We must first disagree. So everyone must establish their position. And then once we've established our differing positions, we then find the common points, and those points that we agree on, we start working on them while we form agreements on those ones that we don't agree with. So people don't understand that disagreements are extremely healthy. They are an integral part of establishing an agreement. And that's where, the maturity or the immaturity plays a role. It's not that I'm saying that the other engineers are bad. No, if you're not enlightened and you don't know, that's just the truth. You're not enlightened on that issue. You don't know, and nobody knows everything. Like Elon Musk will say, not because you don't know it means that it can't be done. It only speaks to the fact that you don't know. So then maybe it's time for you to shut up and listen and humble yourself and let the person who understands and know it, let them lead on the issue, and maybe you might just learn something. And that's why we find ourselves where we are today, because we're being driven by people who don't have driver licenses. They can't read a map. They don't know which way is north, south, east, and west. And then the GPS keeps saying recalculating, and they think it's a song, meaning they don't even know that they're supposed to make a U-turn and go the other way because they just missed a turn. And that's where we find ourselves. We find ourselves being driven, being led by people who don't know. And all they have to do is to turn around and look in the back of the bus and say, hey, who back there knows how to direct us or how to get us to where we need to go? Come up here and sit beside the bus driver and tell him which way to turn or which way to go. That's where we're challenged as a people. We've got to understand that no one person knows everything. And if we continue on this, like I said earlier, we became independent in 1847. The next country that got their independence was 110 years later. The country is called Ghana. The country is called Ghana. So there's a 110-year gap between we Liberians and Ghana got the problem solved. And they're moving progressively forward. We're still sitting in the valley of the shadow of death trying to figure out what to do, simply because we've got the wrong people driving the bus. And nobody wants to ask, and nobody wants to humble themselves to ask the questions, can you please come up here and take the wheel? Or can you please just sit beside me and tell me which way to go? So that's where we find ourselves. Mark Davis is asking the question, is there any technology available that will enable us to store solar energy for about 6 months? Okay. So on that point, Mark, thank you for bringing me back to solar. So solar energy has to be part of the energy mix supply solution for Liberia, right? So we talked about hydro. So let's go on solar. So let me expand on solar a little bit more. One of the big advantages of solar is that what? Rapid deployment. You can deploy solar very, 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 very rapidly. Because why? Solar panels are available. Battery storage systems are not really available. They're being made across Asia, across China, by multiple companies, and you can bring them in, you can deploy them, and you can scale, right? So you can scale your solar power system, and when you move to the bigger system, you can then synchronize them to the grid, meaning that you can synchronize your solar system, put them through transformers and synchronize them, what we electrical engineers call synchronize or parallel them, right? To work in tandem with your national grid that you see behind me. So that's why I was saying on the point, we start off with maybe 1 megawatt, 2 megawatt, or maybe 5 megawatt in every county seat. Okay, so that's a solar farm with all the solar panels that receive the sunlight and convert it to what? To electricity. And then what? You have a battery storage system that stores the electricity. Okay, and then you have transformers, you have inverters that convert, because everything in solar is DC. So you need the inverters that invert the DC to what? To AC. Okay, DC inverters or DC converters, whatever way you want to term it, but it performs the same function. It takes the DC, it converts it to AC, puts it into the transformer that transforms the energy from one voltage to the other. So you can have a solar farm that is that can produce for you 5 megawatts. And then what you do is you build your transformers, you put in your inverter capacity that's higher than that because you're scaling it. So if you start off with 5 megawatt and like you said, Mark, your long term is 20 megawatts. Then what we do from the beginning is we build a solar farm, we clear the acreage. We have the acreage to build that will reach the 20 megawatt capacity, right? So that's planning. That's all part of planning. And then what we do, we buy the inverters to start the process of 5 megawatts and scale it up in 5 megawatt increments. And then the transformer, which is a long lead time delivery item, we make sure that the transformer should be at least a 20 or 25 MVA transformer that we already put on site to accommodate the future growth and expansion of the solar farm. Okay, and that's called proper planning. You plan it, you scale it, and you forecast and you project on what the load growth will be. So by the time you get up to maybe 5 or 10 megawatts, you already you've utilized the manpower within the area. You get the young men, the young women, train them, and then we build the cement poles in the county. Get the young people there, create jobs locally, build the cement poles, and run your distribution grid, and then tie it back to Transco. When it gets up to a certain level, you can put in the metering system, tie it into the mobile phone companies for mobile money, Lone Star, Orange, and then people can pay their bills. And that's why you want to get the commercial banking sector involved in these projects as your true development partners. Because when they invest their money in these type of projects, is a good return on their money. Why? Because they're helping with what? Economic growth, national development within that county. They're stimulating industries, and they're going to increase depositors into their banking and financial institution. Okay, and then they're going to participate in the transformation and the economic transformation of that county. So it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win. And this is why you need the right people at the table with the right competence, the ability to sit down and present, solar technology being built in every county as what? As a business model. You've got to have the right people that will make the case to these investors that look, invest in the 20 megawatt solar farm, scale it starting off at 2.5 megawatts, do your business survey within the county, bring those people on, so those people will be off takers of your power. And then parallel it to the grid that comes from La Côte d'Ivoire. And then, over time, sell power back to Côte d'Ivoire to offset our debt. And this is how you do these things. It's all a business. But if you don't have the right people sitting at the table, having the right conversations, then it's the blind leading the blind. So solar can accommodate our needs. Okay, you talk about the batteries. Let's go on the batteries. I don't want to go off point. Very good. So that's why you have the batteries. And you can also invest more capacity on your batteries, right? So you want to, and you want to make sure you have enough batteries so that for a place like Maryland County, for example, where we have the grid coming across from La Côte d'Ivoire. So we have a cross-border grid that comes from, let's just say for all practical purposes, San Pedro. It comes across into Plebo. So there's a grid there. There's a 35 kV grid that's there. So if you build a solar farm there, you already have all the engineering people you need. They're going to what? The largest technical university in the entire country. It's called William V.S. Tubman University. It's right there in Harper. So if you build a 5 megawatt solar farm there, you can then build that grid. You can build a distribution grid. You got civil engineers, you got mechanical engineers, you got electrical engineers, you got all of them right there graduating from the school. You can turn them into project managers, and they can be the ones to feed that entire build out in the Southeast. And you can extend, you can build cement poles and plant the cement poles, use your bilateral relationships, bring in a private investment entity, such as the banking sector, commercial bank, to invest in that, because Harper is not where the industries are, the commercial part. It's in Plebo. Plebo is a commercial city. So if you bring 5 megawatts into Plebo, all of a sudden you've just transformed the Southeast. And if you can build a 35 kV grid down into Shasta, into Greenville, you can power up the port. All of a sudden now you got import and export at the port of Sino, the port of Greenville. So again, like you rightly said, if you don't have the right people, the right competence, the right know-how, the right expertise, okay, sitting at the table and having the discussions, if you don't have the right partners, okay, there's no motivation in donor money. You got to understand. I don't understand why is it our leadership always talks about the World Bank and all of these, donor people. Free money is not good money. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but free money is not good money because there's no motivation for free money to produce results because there's no return on free money. But when you have capex investment, capital investment from the private sector, from a commercial bank, from an Echo Bank, from an UBA, from a GT Bank, from an AfriLand Bank, investing in a 20 megawatt solar farm, I can bet you those guys will do everything possible to make sure that not one bulb, not 1 kilowatt hour is stolen from them because they want a return on their money. And that's what we need. We need the control mechanisms in place in the sector so that the investors can get a return on their money, one. Number two, government gets the tax revenue. And then number three, the customers get the electricity that would transform their businesses and transform the economy. That's what we need. That's why you call it a three-pronged strategy. But you've got to have the right people sitting at the table. So that's the solution for solar. If we build a solar in every county seat of government, we can lift the national economy in a very strategic way where every county's economy can be lifted, powered by electricity, and then build a local grid, get a commercial bank to play a major role in building that. And then the free money, if the free money comes, it comes. If it doesn't come, but you've got true, genuine partners that can help us. And all you do, write the rules, write the laws, and write the strategies so that Liberians get the jobs first. And you're not bringing people from the outside to come and do electrical engineering work that Liberians are competent of doing. So that's solar. Okay. So solar can be rapidly deployed. Solar can be rapidly applied. It produces results in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. If we have put a 100 megawatt solar farm on the table last year, we would not be where we are because we've got the sun during the rainy season. Okay. And during the dry season, we got the sun in the dry season, and we've got the water in the rainy season. And then we've got Transco CLSG. That should have been. I presented this. I talked about this. I discussed this. I educated on this. I enlightened on this. But nobody listened. 100 megawatt solar farm or one year ago could have solved this problem because we could have taken the additional capacity, minimum maybe 20 megawatts or so from Mount Coffee, 100 megawatts from solar, and then maybe bring additional from Transco from CIE through Transco CLSG, and we would have been on our way. And by now we would have had a solar farm in Ganta tied into Jungle Power. Then we could have a solar farm in Grand Bassa tied into Transco CLSG. We could have a solar farm in Cape Mount. But again, if you don't have the right people sitting at the table having the discussions, then we find ourselves where we are. Okay, so those are the three items or the three aspects of the energy mix for Liberia. Again, if you want to call me directly, I put the phone number up here earlier. If you want to call me and have a telephone conversation on the show, please feel free to call. The telephone number here, I put it up here, is U.S. telephone number 1-346-546-4589. It's also a WhatsApp number as well. So you can call on WhatsApp or you can call directly, and let's have an in-depth conversation on this energy issue. What is it? Why is it? How is it that we Liberians, we cannot solve this thing? Are the wrong people in the room? Okay, I'm not condemning, I'm not criticizing, I'm not castigating. I'm just asking the question. Are the wrong people in the rooms? Why is it that we cannot get a solution that on this energy issue so that we can move this country forward and transform our economy and ultimately transform our politics, so we can bring forth, the diaspora. Last year, $800 million poured into Liberia. $800 million from diaspora investments on remittances came into Liberia. What is it with us, Liberians, that we cannot solve this energy issue. I would really, really like some calls today. Feel free to call in. Again, telephone number is also a WhatsApp number. Is U.S. telephone number 1-346-546-4589. Once again, 1-346-546-4589. This is Business Talk, where we're talking about, Liberian businesses being affected by energy, a lack of electricity in Liberia, and what do we need to do? What should we do? What can we do from the diaspora perspective to impact the energy policy, the energy strategies of our country, press the leadership so that they can drive something. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat box and I'll make sure to read your questions, and then we can dissect it, expand upon it, and then bring it to the rest of the audience. So that's how we talked about hydro. It's a long term. We talked about CIE being a generating source from La Côte d'Ivoire. They're an oil and gas producer, so they've got natural gas turbines. They've got independent power producers producing electricity there, and they have a very good energy mix. And then tying it in on Transco, who's a transporter that brings it down through Liberia, and then we can have solar power with battery storage and so forth and so on. And again, let me expand on something else before I get to your question, Mark. I see your new question here. One of the key things, like this week, I was in Florida with visiting one of my major customers there. They're one of my biggest customers. They're called Irby Construction. They're doing several different, I think that's about 7 or 8 plus, more projects in the Florida area with Florida Power and Light. They're building where we visited 275 megawatt solar farms. 275 megawatt solar farms. So total 150 megawatts with battery storage. I put the pictures up in the group to share with everybody. So those things are doable. And what they're doing, as you know, Florida is what we call in the U.S. the sunshine state. So the battery storage, one thing about battery storage is that in the rainy season, or you may not have 100% solar, okay? But what people don't understand, those batteries can be charged. They can be charged by the very same utility source. That's what people don't understand. So if you go to Google, Mark Davis and Reverend Vat Dixon, if you go to Google, just type in Totota Co-op, C-O-O-P, solar project, Totota Liberia Co-op power project or solar project. And you will see that right there in Totota, north of Kakata, there's a solar project there done by a small group funded by, I believe, USAID and a small co-op, electric co-op company here in South Texas, where they provided solar panels and a battery storage connex, a 40-foot container, and a generator to charge the batteries on overcast sky days of the rainy season. So just Google that project and you'll see that project is existing, is successful, it's working, it's doable, it has transformed the lives of so many people and businesses in Totota. It's right there. So again, like I said, the wrong people are in the room because we have a functional solar project and there's metering systems there where people are paying their bills. And so those systems are doable. And we've had that project in Liberia for the past 4 or 5 years. So the question now becomes, if you have a working model, why haven't you duplicated it? Why haven't you replicated this model across all the Kakata, Wiyala, so forth and so on? Why haven't you duplicated this? And this is my point. Free money is not always free. Donor money isn't always free because there's no motivation for profitability and expansion and growth. That's why you need to have the private sector banking, financial entities at the table so they can see this as an opportunity to invest and get a major return on the investment, because you truly want these people to buy into your economic growth and your industrial transformation, because that's where they get more depositors. That's where their profitability comes from. More depositors, more transactions, more investments, supporting more businesses. So again, those who are leading on this issue, they're challenged because they don't know how to connect all the different dots. So let's go to Mark Davis' question here. How do we keep the flow of electricity generated from solar uninterrupted when we enter the rainy season? Like I said, when you enter it, so if you look at it from this perspective, Mark, okay, so if you take a sheet of paper and you draw a big circle, right? You draw a big circle on the paper and you put the Liberian economy. And then you draw 3 lines. You put one to the right, put one to the left, put one on the top. The one on the top, you put their solar. The one on the left, you put their Mount Coffee. The line on the right, you put their CIE/Transco CLSG. So the economy in the middle, we have power supplies coming from 3 sources. So you got CIE, right? Cote d'Ivoire Electric on the right through Transco. Then on the left, you got Mount Coffee coming from there. So Mount Coffee on the Mount Coffee side, put their 100% capacity rainy season. On the right-hand side, for Transco, for CIE/CIE plus Transco CLSG, put their 100%, dependent on dependent upon operations. So because for that power source, if there's a technical problem on the CIE side, your capacity will be reduced. Okay, so let's put that factor in there. On the top of that drawing, put their solar, put 100% dry season. So there you have your energy mix. That answers your question. So how do we keep the flow of electricity generated from solar uninterrupted when we enter the rainy season? During the rainy season, we switch 100% of the load to Mount Coffee because we have enough water. And then we mix it, because even though you may not have 100% solar, you may have 50% solar. But the good thing is you have battery storage. And battery storage can be charged by the same power that comes from Mount Coffee. And then you also offset it with what? With what you got coming from CIE through Transco. That's how the system is supposed to work. And that's what I'm saying. You've got to have the right people sitting at the table, communicating this, articulating this, expanding on this, and explaining on this, and educating those who are driving the bus. Because if the driver doesn't know where he's going and can't read a map and don't know how to operate the GPS, how can you believe that you're going to end up at the destination? No. If you get on the wrong bus when you park your car at the airport, you think you're going to make your flight? You'll miss your flight every time because you got on the wrong bus. And this is where we find ourselves. So that if you take that drawing, draw a circle, put the Liberian economy in the middle. On the right, put CIEs plus Transco CLSG. On the left, you put their Mount Coffee, 100% rainy season. On the top, put solar farm, 100 megawatts of, 100 plus megawatts, 100% dry season. And that becomes your energy mix for the Republic of Liberia. If we use this model, we would never go dry. And then you can start adding different things. So you can add additional hydros, but they would take longer time. And then guess what? At the top, you can put their commercial banking sector, private investment to add additional solar capacity for the dry season. And then on the right-hand side, CIE. So, they're there, okay? So they will also beef up their demand on their side because it's profitable for them. And then you have your good energy mix. And then this is the next topic. Energy security is national security. Write that down. Energy security is national security. And so what is energy security? Energy independence. So if you look at that drawing, you will see that out of those 3 points that inject power into the Liberian economy in the middle, you'll see that the only one that we would depend for external supply is the CIE Transco side. So that means if we use that model, we will address a major national security issue for our country, for our nation. Yeah, right-hand side, CIE plus Transco CLSG. Left-hand side, Mount Coffee Hydro, Dugbe River Hydro, St. John River Hydro. That's exactly right. And then on the top, you put their solar farms. So energy security is national security. Energy security is national security. And the best energy security is what? It's energy independence. Right now, if you look at that drawing, you'll see that we are in a very, very vulnerable position as a country, as a nation, as a people. That's why we cannot economically grow. That's why we cannot industrially grow and transform our country. That's why poverty is such a menace to our society. That's the reason why, teenage pregnancy, prostitution by the young girls, and I mean, the young men are, hopelessly jumping on dope and doing everything. It's at the top. Yeah, the top is a solar farm. And you can put their private banking sector and, they can add more, build more solar farm across the country and tie it into Transco. Okay. So now the other thing, let me expand on this, right? On the solar farm issue in Transco. So when you look at that drawing I just gave you, right? Okay. So when you look at that drawing I just gave you, when you go to Google and you put in the Google Transco, TRANSCO -CLSG for Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, CLSG, right? Okay. Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, CLSG. Just Google it and it will show you the map. The interesting thing, the most strategic thing about Transco is that Transco as a transporter infrastructure allows you to move power along the grid. So it's like a super highway. Transco is a super highway for energy. Maybe people don't understand it, but Transco CLSG is a super highway for energy, meaning that if you build a solar farm in Grand Bassa, you're from Grand Bassa. If you build a solar farm in Kipma, there's a substation there, and you build a solar farm 100 megawatts in Caldwell and tie it into the substations, that means we can inject power on that grid and move the power up to NIMBA if NIMBA needs more power. Separate from CIE. The grid is a smart grid. It's very advanced. It has some of the best protective relays in the world. Okay. So the technology has been deployed in Liberia that allows us to move power along the grid and use it as our own transmission infrastructure. So if Monrovia needs more power and Cape Mount has 20 megawatts and they're only using 5, we can put the balance 15 on the grid and guess what? Move it and bring it into Monrovia to be used. The grid can do that. Separate from CIE. So that's why I said energy security is national security. And the best form of energy security is what? It's energy independence. The best, security is energy independence. So if we build the solar farms in these strategic areas, using the private commercial banking sectors as partners, true partners to industrialize and to transform this country, then guess what? We can have the hydro being invested in as well. We can have the solar farm being invested in, and we can have the CIE power coming in from Cote d'Ivoire. We don't need to use 100 megawatts of CIE. We don't need to use 50 megawatts. We could probably only use 10 megawatts or 20 megawatts because we have additional capacity. Whatever you bring in, you charge your batteries and you discharge your batteries. That's what the batteries are for. The batteries are no different than what we all buy, right? Okay, you buy an extra, you go to Amazon, you buy a battery storage. and you charge it in the night. And when you're going to work in the morning, you take it, you put it in your briefcase, you put it in your backpack, so that when you're out and your phone battery dies, or it's going to 5%, you're not anywhere where you can plug it into the wall. You take out your battery pack and you plug it in, and it discharges. It's the same technology, except that the one that you have is, it's a smaller capacity, but the one in the Connex is it's industrialized, but it's the same concept. It's the same concept. So when you look at that drawing, you will see that every aspect, every point that comes into that circle, which is the Liberian economy, Liberian, Republic of Liberia, whatever way you want to call the circle, every aspect of it is scalable. It is scalable. So if you scale it, you can add additional hydros. And that's why building this national electric grid at 35 kV or 66 kV, whichever way you want to term it, granted you can move more power at 66 compared to 35, because 35 is mostly for the cities and for the city and the town. But for long distances, you use 66. But when you're doing solar in these little pockets and cities and towns, so you come to Greenville, you build a 20 megawatt solar farm, you design it for 20, you start at 5. But then what you do is you build You build your distribution 35 kV line or 66 kV line. 35 is less expensive, using the local people, using utility poles, and you connect it back to where? Back to the Plebo grid. So the whole Southeast is done. Then you start building it from Plebo going north into River G, because River G has a backbone that connects River G to where? To Zwedru, where the cross-border grids come from Total Play and it comes into Zwedru. So you can actually, within less than 3 years, your entire southeastern grid can be built up. You can have almost 80 megawatts of capacity, because you got Sino, you got Grand Cru, you got Maryland, you got River G, and you got Grand G there. So you can have 20 megawatts times 5. The last time I checked, that's 100 megawatts. You can have 100 megawatts, and you can plug that into Transco, because the closest Transco stations, one is in Nimba, and one is in Botota, and one is in Grand Bassa in Buchanan. And that's how you do, but you got to have the right people around the table where you can work with them and they can help you expand on this, enlighten you on this. And you build the solar farms, you tie it into Transco, because Transco is an energy superhighway. It's an energy superhighway. And that's where we need to be, because again, as I said, energy security is national security. And the best form the best form of energy security is what? It's energy independence. We cannot allow our economy, our industrialization and economic growth and economic transformation to be dependent on external forces. That means we're vulnerable as a people, as a nation. So, those are the type of things, we as a people, we need to think, we need to have, higher level conversations. We need to have conversations that truly allows us to think and expand our minds. All of these petty issues are not going to get us to where we need to be. The only thing that will liberate, transform, and democratize this country at a faster rate is the supply of energy. And it has to be looked at as a national security crisis, because we are vulnerable. We as a nation, we are economically vulnerable. We're in a vulnerable place. We're very exposed because we don't have a reliable energy supply, because the lack of accountability and irresponsible people have been placed in positions of power that are accountable for our economic growth and our national security. And look what they did. They got us to the mess that we are in today, and no one is held accountable. Everybody walks away scot-free. And that's why we as a people, we in the diaspora, we who sent in over $800 million into Liberia, we need to speak up. We can't be silent on this. Electrical engineers who are out there, guys, we got to talk. This is not politics. I have not mentioned anything about politics on this show today. This is all about, growing our economy, growing our nation, transforming our people, transforming the lives of our people that will ultimately lead to the transformation of our politics and make us a better democratic nation like Ghana and like Cote d'Ivoire. Now we attract foreign investment. So that drawing there, Mark, I mean, in fact, if you did that drawing, if you look at that drawing, you can build on that drawing and you can add different components to that drawing. You see? So those are the type of things we need to talk about as a people, as a nation, have, big conversations. It's like, the CEO of Africa Development Bank, like he said in Tanzania, if you're going to do something, do it big. But key thing he said, make sure that it is what? It is sustainable. So if you look at that drawing I just did, right? CIE/Transco on the right. On the left, you got Mount Coffee and the hydros. And then on the top, you have the solar. Sustainability for everything that's in the middle. As you grow your solar, add more investments on your solar, you're increasing and improving your energy security, which is improving your national security, which is improving your energy independence. And then on your Transco side, you reduce your reliance on CIE. And now you're using Transco CLSG as what? As a means to export and sell power. So now all of a sudden, if you have enough hydro and you have enough solar, you can now enter the energy business where you can use Transco to sell power to Sierra Leone, sell power to Guinea, or sell power back to La Cote d'Ivoire that will push it up to Burkina Faso. Okay, Vat Dixon just wrote something here. Thank you, Vat. He said, I believe that privatization has a potential to significantly enhance the electricity sector in Liberia. Okay, so let's go through Vat's comment here one by one. I believe that too. But again, the word privatization, okay, the word privatization we need to look at it like an onion. Let's go layer by layer. Are you saying privatizing LEC? Is that what you mean by that? Because again, don't forget the power company has three components. You got generation, which is like the Mount Coffee or the thermal power plant. You got transmission, which moves the power from one place to the other. And then you have distribution, okay, that connects all, what we call the last mile distribution, that connects all the homes and so forth and so on, okay? So are you talking about privatizing the power company as a solution, or are you talking about private entities that come into the energy sector to generate, to build a solar farm or to build a hydro, okay, or to build their own thermal plant to plug into the grid? Which level of privatization are you talking about? Okay. And I do agree. So privatization from what perspective, Vat? That's the question back to you. From what perspective? Are you saying sell LEC? Are you saying let LEC bring in partners? Okay, because again, that's a public corporation. Now you got to go back to the House and the Senate to make sure that it becomes a law to bring a company in and so forth and so on and stuff like that. Okay, so the next point he makes here, to encourage our leaders to consider this vision, we could explore several strategies. Okay, for instance, we can look at successful models such as Firestone Hydro Plant, very good, which has effectively served the community. I was born and raised there in Firestone. I was brought into this world with the light bulbs above my mother there, and I popped into the world and I saw the light from that same hydro power plant. If we were to privatize energy, healthcare, and communications, I am confident that Liberia could experience remarkable growth within the next 6 years. What are your thoughts? Very good point. Okay, Vat, so I don't know what county you're from. If you're from Grand Bassa County, for example, what is UNIBOA, right? I think the big Grand Bassa Association in the US is called UNIBOA. What is UNIBOA doing from the aspect of investing in energy in the county? That's the question back to you, because you just brought it up. If we were to privatize energy, healthcare, and communications, I am confident that Liberia could experience remarkable growth within the next 6 years. So the amazing thing about Liberia is this, right? Every county, if you go to Google right now and you put in there, we have this big Liberian organization here called EULA. So what is EULA doing with regards to investing in the energy sector in Liberia? Every county in this country, every county in Liberia has a diaspora organization. There's a Maryland County Association in the U.S. There's a Grand Cess County, there's a River Cess County Association. There's a Grand Bassa County Association. There's a Montserrado County Association. There's a Magigi. You name the county, there's an association in the U.S. So the question is, what are those associations doing to invest, to bring private investment into their county from the energy sector, to transform the county? They collect dues. They have meetings. What are the meetings about? The July 26th celebration. What are those meetings about? This is the time that the rubber meets the road, because the greatest need for transformation is not in the U.S., it's in Liberia, in your county. Then, okay, let's take it to another level. You got different tribal association. I'm from, my father hails from Lofa County. I'm a Kisi man. Okay, I was born in Magigi. But the largest Kisi association in the U.S. is called Tompilau. When President Boakai came to the U.S., they had a big event in Rhode Island, in Providence, Rhode Island. All the Kisi people were there. You name it, from California, they flew in from Florida. All of them gathered there. What are the Kisi people? What is that organization doing for energy investments in their county? That's the question. So we in the diaspora are sending home this $800 million. So let's break it back down. So go back to that drawing there, right? The circle in the middle, that's the Republic of Liberia. That's our economy. The drawing, the line on the left, that's hydro. The line on the top, that's solar. Forget about Transco CLSG on the right. Where the diaspora can have the greatest effect is on the top drawing, is on the top line, the solar. We could build 20 kilowatts, 75 kilowatt, 150 kilowatt, 500 kilowatt solar farms in our counties. We could raise the money here and then approach a commercial bank in Liberia to match those funds. And then the bank gets the return on the investment through the energy meters and the power that is sold. Why are we not having those discussions? As John F. Kennedy said, right? We remember that statement. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what? Ask what you can do for your country. So this is the time. You bring up a very good point. Because the energy sector in Liberia, if you did not know, have been deregulated. LEC is not the only entity anymore. You can go to the LERC, the Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission. Go to Google. Just go to Google, put in Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission, LERC. Google it. You can approach the LERC and you can pull your money and buy yourself your own license. And you can be a solar microgrid entity in Liberia in your county. Okay, so let's expand upon it. Let's go to the next level. Every school, every high school in Liberia, every college, university in Liberia has what? An alumni association in the US. So what are those alumni associations doing to invest in the energy sector for their schools? What are they doing? So everyone is sitting, complaining, bitching, mooning, condemning, criticizing, whereby we have associations, we have organizations in the US, we're collecting money, paying dues. But again, the lack of leadership, or everybody wants the country, the government, right? We say we're conservatives, but we love big government. No, you can't have it both ways. The question now is, what can you do? What can we do? What solutions can we bring forth? Solar is available. There's so many different solar companies across Monrovia selling solar panels, inverters, chargers, batteries, you name it, it's all there. You don't have to ship anything in. It's all there. So why can't the Alumni Association for BWI There's a BWI association right here in the US, very big organization. Why can't we pool our resources? Tax everybody with $150, whatever you can buy, pool the money, get a company in Liberia, match those funds with the bank and say, look, we want to invest in solar for the BWI campus to power up the campus, transform the education that's being brought to the young people. Why can't we do it? There's always an excuse. There's always an excuse why it can't work. But there's never a reason for us to what? To motivate ourselves to move to that level. And that's where we find ourselves as a nation, as a people. Because the right people are not brought into the room to sit down, to present, to educate, to enlighten, and to expand on these topics. That's why we find ourselves 110-year age difference between Liberia and Ghana. They've solved it. We're still sitting like the children of Israel, going in circles on this one issue in the valley of the shadow of death, going round and round and round on this one issue. And we've got to wake up because the world is moving further. The world is moving ahead. We're the one who are stagnant. So every Liberian association in this country, be it from the county, be it from a tribal group, need to come together, get together, and sit down and say, what kind of a solar project we can do in our county seat? Engage with the superintendent. Engage with the superintendent and say, look, we want to do a 20 kilowatt. We want to do a 75 kilowatt. We want to do a 150 kilowatt. 150 kilowatt is almost like putting a 150 kVA generator there to supply power for the town. 250 kilowatt is almost like putting a 250 kVA generator there. That's what it means. That's what it means. It could transform that city in that town. There are metering systems you can buy online from China, from Alibaba. You get your meter, you get your servers, you tie it to Lone Star and Orion Mobile Money, and people will buy the meter and will recharge the meter. So, we need to move from this position of just sitting, complaining about why other people are not doing things, whereby we are well able. We are well able. We, the few, the brave, who understand this thing. We've got to be the Caleb and the Joshua to say that we are well able. We can take this thing. We can do this. We can move this country forward as it relates to energy. Because if we don't solve this energy issue, our security is going to be challenged. Our security, energy security is national security. And the best form of energy security is energy independence. It's energy independence. So I'm passionate about this because I understand that the only way we can transform this country and move this country forward, to create jobs, provide opportunities, and transform the economics that will ultimately transform the politics, is through industrialization. And industrialization can only take place by way of electricity. Now, maybe the way I speak, the way I talk, the way I stress on the issue, I don't know. Maybe I'm going in the wrong direction. Maybe I don't have any political aspirations in any way, shape, or form. I don't seek a job or whatever, or opportunity. No, I just love my country, and I believe that Liberia can do better. But we as a people need to commit ourselves. And if you're in a position of leadership, and if you don't know what to do, it's okay to say, I don't know. Find the help. Find the counsel that can guide you, that can enlighten you, that can show you the way. And then, build the right relationships. We're not building the right relationships. Liberia graduates thousands of electrical engineers every year. They're unemployed. Imagine that. We have all of the electrical engineers there. We have all the electrical technicians there, but yet I still want to bring people from USAID or from wherever else to come and solve a problem that we're well able to solve. I reject that. because electrical engineering there in Liberia is the same as in Ghana, in Cote d'Ivoire, or in Liberia, or in the US. It's the same thing. Volts, power factor, kVARs, kVA, amps, resistance, impedance, it's all the same. It's all the same. 10 amp cable, 20 amp cable, 150 amp cable, it's the same there, it's the same here. So I don't understand what the issues are. Why would you go and bring somebody from Germany to come and do a work that you can do? I mean, I'm still trying to understand. So if you look at that drawing, okay, VAT, okay, very good. Okay, VAT said, let's consider a different perspective. Very good. I like this, VAT. I like this. I like this interaction. I'm enjoying this. Okay, so VAT is telling me here, he said, okay, let us consider a different perspective. The situation highlights a key point. Liberian organizations need to improve their effectiveness in these three major areas, okay? One, a notable example can be drawn from the case of Ricks Institute. Okay, very good, my alma mater. I was just there a couple of weeks ago. I was very, very, disappointed with the state of the campus. Okay, when President Talbot approached the Southern Baptists for support, they requested to send their own personnel to manage the institution. Talbot agreed to this approach, and as a result, Ricks transformed into one of the most successful institutions in the region. Okay, I think and then it said this illustrates, right? Okay, fine. So the deal, what you're basically explaining is a deal, right? So there was a deal. Okay, you need, Ricks was formed. Okay, he turned to Southern Baptist for support. They requested to send their own personnel to manage the institution. Why? Because again, it's all about mindset. If you want to bring an institution up to a certain level, that you're a pastor. So a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So depending on what people think at that level, they can, a person cannot be anything more than the way he thinks. If you want a person to do better, then we have to transform the way he thinks. Because so a man thinketh in his heart, in his mind, so is he. So if you look at what you just wrote, right? Talbot turned to the Southern Baptist Convention, to say what? We need your support. Okay, the guys are fine. If we're going to put our name on this thing, then we're going to have to bring our own people in, because, like minds, like begot like. We're going to have to bring our own people in, because we're at a level of thinking. So we can't have the wrong thinking person amongst us, because he would not get it. So we'll bring our own people in so that we can build something with like minds, and then everybody else will feed into it. And that's how the institution, while we elevate, will grow. And then those that we produce out of this process will then come up with that mindset. That's the process. That's the process. Look at Firestone. You mentioned Firestone. That's what Harvey Firestone did. That's what Harvey Firestone did. He brought in his own because of what? Because of like minds. They established, they built, and then he built his own school system so that he could produce his own kind. I went to the Firestone Staff School. And that school was a socially engineered experimental institution that formed those who were what he called the staff kids. And so that's how we were transformed at that level. And the hope was, and over time, you could see in Firestone, all of the expats, he was recalling the expats and replacing them with Liberians that had now grown to that level of mindset and thinking, so that the dream could continue to perpetuate itself. So again, we've got to understand that transformation is not something you go to Amazon, you click, you say, I want 2 of this, I want 3 of this, I want 1 of this, I want Amazon Prime to deliver it tomorrow, this afternoon. It doesn't work that way. Time is a factor here. And you've got to get the right minds so that you can produce what it is you need out of this process. Okay? So again, I mean, that's where we find ourselves. So Liberian institutions, I mean, Liberian organizations, different, be it tribal organizations, be it county organization, be it alumni association from different schools, they need to come together and have a very, very in-depth discussion on energy, electricity, because electricity improves the quality of teaching and learning and the entire environment of the school. I went to Rick's. I mean, Rick's is spending so much money on diesel fuel. It's unbelievable. Why are you spending diesel in 2024 when you got so many solar institutions in the country? The size of the diesel power plant there, 250 kVA. You can build a 250 kVA solar farm there. You got all the land. So what's the issue? You got all the alumni or alumnus all across the U.S. Most of the Rick's Institute alumnus are making anywhere above $50,000 a year or more. They can afford to pay, to buy the solar lighting online, and we all ship it there and light up the campus. We all can afford to either contribute anywhere from 100, 50, 100, or whatever the case is, to invest in something that's transformative for the campus. But where, the vision has to be there. The vision has to be there. You go to Swen down the road, you go to Lakari. We as a people have to think outside the box. Maybe this box thing, has constrained everyone, but we've got to elevate our level of thinking. And it is this level of thinking that has now got us down to where we are today. And we as a nation, we're vulnerable from the energy perspective. Our economy can't grow. You go home and, the economy is growing. I mean, the real estate sector is growing. People are building and building and building. But I mean, you can only imagine plugging all of those homes onto the grid. And that means, the energy supply has to be robust and strong. It has to be robust and strong. So I've got 15 more minutes here on the show. Thank you to all of those who participated. I don't see a lot of questions today, but I would hope, thank you, Vat, for the engagement. I was hoping for more people to send questions in, but I didn't see that many questions on here today. So, but I mean, the interaction was great. I didn't get any telephone calls today. I was really hoping to get some calls in today. But again, I mean, we as a people, we need to understand that we are where we are simply because we have not yet done the right thing we're supposed to do. We need to truly, come up to a level and have a deep discussion about the energy solution for our country. We're challenged in this regard. We continue to stay in a position where we're not growing. We're not growing. We're not growing. We as a country, we're not growing. We're definitely not growing. And again, today, we did the design. Liberia's in the middle, draw a circle. On the right, put CIE/Transco CLSG, dependent on capacity from Ivory Coast. On the left, put the hydropower, Mount Coffee and other hydros. And on the top line, put your solar and put their, private banking sector, solar investments and things like that. And then that becomes our energy mix. If we can do that, focus on that, strategize on that drawing and build on that and set policies based on that. And in the words of the CEO of the African Development Bank, Mr. Adesina, if you're going to do anything, do it big. But key to what he said, make sure it's sustainable. It sustains itself. It lives long. It transforms. It industrializes. And then you can get the benefits out of it. So, I mean, like I said, for me, I'm excited about Liberia's future. I believe that the Energy Summit or Energy Retreat that is being done up in at the Vice President's farm or his ranch up there in in Nimba County will produce some results. It will produce some results. But I think that what we need most of all is we really need to gauge ourselves. We need to open our minds. We need to accept the fact that if you don't know, it's okay that you don't know. No one person knows everything. But if we cooperate, if we exchange, if we communicate, if we link, if we build the proper relationship, we'll be able to have positive exchanges like Vat and Mark today. Positive exchanges. I don't claim to know everything, but I do know that it can be done. I know that we Liberians, we're very resourceful people, and we can do this. We can do this. We can transform our nation. We can build our economy. We can grow our economy, and we can achieve energy independence, which is the best form of national security, because we are in a very, very vulnerable place as a country, as a nation, and we don't have the right people in places. We put all the wrong people in all the right places, and they're all producing their fruit. And here it is, $18 million in the hole to CIE. $18 million in the hole to CIE because there was no accountability. And the guy who put us in the hole, the two guys who put us in the hole were allowed to walk away, pack their bags, and walk away free. No consequences. So what message does that send to any potential foreign investor who may want to come into the energy sector and sell and connect power to LEC? What guarantee does he have that he will get his money when he sells power to LEC? So people are not thinking about the implications of this cosmetically. How does it look? It looks very, very bad. It looks terrible. So how then can you bring an independent power producer and say, look, come and generate power, plug it on the grid, and then we'll pay you your money? Guys, no. Go and pay CIE first. You didn't pay those guys. Those guys had to disconnect you. And now you want me to come and build my infrastructure here in your country and then connect to you, and you can't even pay me? No. So the optics, the optics are terrible. And we're not considering this, the implications of this to private sector entities that may want to look into Liberia for energy investments. Mark, you and I had an exchange the other day, this week, I believe, on the Mittal Steel power plant that Mittal Steel is building. Mittal Steel has now about to commission 2 power plants, about 75 megawatts, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, up in Yekepa, and a 20 megawatt down in Buchanan. Now think about that. Why would the mining company, the largest mining concession investment in Liberia, build their own power plant? Think about that. They built their own power plant in Yekepa and in Buchanan, 20 megawatts in Buchanan, exclusively for them. They're not going to share that power. No, they ain't going to share it. That's their money. They made their investment. They're not going to share it. And then a 75 megawatt or 50 megawatt up there in Yekepa. And they're going to run it on HFO that they will bring in at their port in Buchanan, put it on their train and haul it up there. Why? Because they want to industrialize their mining investment or their mining concession to go from exporting raw iron ore to what? To pelletize. Because the real money is what? Is in pellets. If I can pelletize, then I can have a more attractive product that I can sell to bring it directly into the blast furnace to make steel. Because that's Mittal's business. She has a mining side and then she has a steel side. So it's a very attractive business model. But the reason they had to build a power plant is simply because they couldn't find a good partner in LEC. And they could not risk their investment with a bad partner. So from the business perspective, I can't put my money or take my investment and put it in the hands of someone who's irresponsible and unaccountable. No, It's better for me to build my own power plant and put the right-minded people. I'll hire the right-minded people, put them there to run it, and I'll put into place a company culture that if you steal my fuel oil, I'm going to lock you up. And I will get my money back because I will industrialize, right? I will industrialize, I will pelletize, and I will sell it at a higher price that will compensate, that will offset, right, the cost of the HFO I'll bring. I'll build it into the price of the pellets. There you go. A great business model because you got the right people sitting at the table having the right discussion. And that's very sad. That's very sad because all of that power could have been done. That agreement could have been done with LEC to build that power plant. Not even build the power plant, but to get the power from CIE, or to even bring in the banking sector to even build that. I mean, we could have built a solar farm up there with the batteries to supply that, and let Mittal buy the power back from us, and we sell the rest and industrialize Nima County even more, and build a grid going down to Tapeta and further down to the southeast. But we missed it. So to everyone, thank you so much for participating in the show today. Again, I was hoping that more electrical engineers and other people would have participated, would have called, but I guess, my fellow engineers, or everyone is, disgusted, tired with all of this energy issue because they can't understand why something so simple is so complicated to, for us. I mean, we've got multiple rivers, we could build multiple hydros, we've got abundant sunshine during the dry season, and battery technology today is not something that's, everyone is utilizing their geographical position as an asset today to build and invest in solar technology. Everyone is. Why aren't we doing it? Why are we not doing it? Simply because we don't have the right people sitting at the table having the right discussions. And we need to improve on that. So thank you so much for joining the show today. I appreciate everyone who participated. Vat, Dixon, thank you so much. Thank you so much for participating today. I really, really do appreciate your participation on the show today. I really, really, enjoyed the conversation. I really, really do. Mark Davis, thank you so much for your interaction today and the questions, the points, those things. I really do. And to the other folks who are silent listeners and the silent participants, thank you so much for participating on the show today. To those who watched, didn't say anything but learned, I appreciate you very, very much. And to everyone out there who shared the show, thank you so much for your participation. Until next time, next week, my co-host, Ava Tokba, is spending time with his lovely wife today in Monrovia. And I wish them all the best. Be safe, have fun, Ava and your wife. Enjoy the town, enjoy the city, reconnect with family members, friends, see your projects, see different things that are happening there. And to everyone, we say we love you. Thank you so much for joining Business Talk. We were on Love TV Live Facebook feed today, but power is a challenge. Power is an issue across the city to everyone today. So until next time, guys, have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend. Love your family, love yourself. And don't forget, energy security is national security. And the best form of energy security is what? Energy independence. Love you. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.